Welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 14th of February 2024. In today's newspaper analysis, we are going to cover the most important articles from the newspaper, and especially we will cover the editorial section from the newspaper, and also we are going to cover the important sections from the newspaper. Apart from this, we have included a mapping topic for you that will help you to solve map related questions in the prelims exam. So now let us quickly see the list of articles that we are going to cover in today's newspaper analysis. So today we have earmarked around 9 topics for discussion. That includes one mapping topic as well. So with this, let us start the discussion with the first topic. Name of the topic is Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve. So this is a tiger reserve that is located in the state of Tamil Nadu, right? And this tiger reserve has been in news in today's newspaper article. It is related to the rights that are given to the forest dwellers. Okay, so we are going to discuss about the Forest Rights Act in an article today. So related to that, let us understand where is the location of tiger reserve. So this is the state of Tamil Nadu, right? This is the state of Tamil Nadu in India, and Tamil Nadu is located in the southern portion of India, as we all know, right? And so in Tamil Nadu there is a district. Name of this district is Erode district, and in this district, inside this district, there is Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve. And why Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve is in news? Because the government of India has notified some portion of this tiger reserve, right, a protected zone. I mean, this tiger reserve is being protected in a different manner altogether now. And for that, some of the tribal people, some of the forest dwellers are feeling that their rights may be curtailed inside the Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve. So whenever, now here we need to understand that a tiger reserve can be a national park also, it can be a forest reserve also, right? So the same places can be designated, let's say, differently. And when it is designated differently, so it is protected also differently. Okay, so under different designations, there are different protection measures. So whenever an area is designated as a tiger reserve, so here the government will employ important human resources who are going to take care of the tigers. And not only this, let's say habitat or the, let's say, living places for the tiger will be conserved in such a manner so that, human tiger conflict does not arise, right? So here in India, we do have an authority which is known as National Tiger Conservation Authority, okay? National Tiger Conservation Authority, NTCA. So National Tiger Conservation Authority has been given the responsibility of managing the tiger reserves in the country. And not only this, it also manages the, it takes care of the tiger census, and tiger census is conducted once every 4 years in the country, right? So this is the location of Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve. And here I have included another map that talks about landscape of tiger reserves, right? So here, this is the location of Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve. Apart from this, there are some other tiger reserves also that are very near to this. For example, Madumalai Tiger Reserve. Then we have Bandipur Tiger Reserve, Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary, right? And we have this Nugu Wildlife Sanctuary. We have, let's say, Nagarhole Tiger Reserve. Right, so these places are located very near to one another, but not all of them are located in the state of Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu, over here in Erode district, we have Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve. Others are located in Karnataka, right? So that is the thing. So with this, let us now look into the first article for discussion today. So this article says why India needs deep industrialization. And this article is important under Indian economy section. And this can be a potential question in the mains exam, right, in GS paper 3. So we are going to discuss about why India needs deep industrialization, right? Why need of industrialization is sought nowadays. Okay, to understand this, we need to look into multiple factors, and we are going to discuss those factors one by one. And this article has been, let's say, inspired by, it has been written and inspired by let's say a former governor of the Reserve Bank of India, Raghuram Rajan. So we are going to discuss about a book that Raghuram Rajan along with another person has written, right, in this article. So name of the topic is, this is topic number 1. It says why India needs deep industrialization. So as we discussed, this topic is important under Indian economy. This is important under GS paper 3. So as we know that industry plays a very significant role in Indian economy, and not only in India, right? So industrial revolution has started something, a new era, right? Long back. So industrial revolution that has been started by, let's say, Great Britain long back, and that revolution is playing key role in many other countries also as of now. Why? Because industrial revolution has fostered a new mindset among people that, like, people need to do innovation, people need to bring about new products, new services in an economy, right? So the thing is, like, as we grow older, means like, the nations grow older, so new goods are being produced, new services are being created, new let's say, like, a lot of new people are getting employed in different sectors. And the thing is, like, race of industrialization has been different in different countries. For example, the pace at which China has grown, right? India has not been able to grow with that pace, right? So what has contributed to the growth of Chinese economy? What has contributed to the growth of the US economy? What has contributed to the growth of, let's say, German economy? So, like, there are multiple factors that have played role and that have shaped their economy from time to time. And here, if we talk about Indian economy, so Indian economy has had a history, right? And if we talk about the history of Indian economy, so Indian economy has been agrarian for a long time. Means, like, Indian economy has been primarily agricultural, right? So, like, when India became independent in 1947, the kind of economy that we have inherited, this economy was in turmoil. Why? Because, like, drain of wealth has happened during the colonial period in the country. And soon after we became independent, we have thought of going for industrialization. We have come up with planned economic model. Planned economic model means government of India has decided to, let's say, plan the way how the economy is going to grow. And for that, they used to come up with 5-year plans. So far, we have had 12 5-year plans under the Planning Commission. But after then, what has happened? We have discontinued the process of, let's say, 5-year plan. Now we are coming up with 3-year plans. And, like, government of India has restructured the Planning Commission and they have named it as Niti Aayog. And here in this article, the author talks about that why India needs to go for industrialization, right? And to understand that factor, we need to understand that Indian economy has huge number of people, right, who are in the working age. And most of these people are in the need of job. So job creation is important. And, like, we are a growing economy. So, like, the Indian market is something, like, which has requirement of huge number of goods and services. To meet all those things, we need to go for industrialization. However, in this article, we are going to discuss about different sectors of Indian economy, right? So in this article, the author talks about that when we talk about Indian economy, right? When we talk about Indian economy, author talks about different phases in Indian economy. Number one, author has said that post COVID-19, right? Post COVID-19, different countries have, let's say, like, emerged differently. For example, various countries have faced difficulty in tackling the COVID-19 problem, right? Many countries are still, let's say, like, their economies have not able to, let's say, cope up with COVID-19 problem. The problem that has happened because of COVID-19, they were not able to come out of it. However, India was one of the large country in the world that has rebounded from COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. So what India has done post COVID-19, India has rebounded quickly. Okay, India has rebounded quickly from COVID-19 pandemic. This is one aspect. India has rebounded quickly from COVID-19 pandemic. Apart from this, here we need to talk about another factor. In this article, they have said that there was a time where globalization was taking pace across the world. Right? Globalization is something where an economy connects with other economies. A country connects with other countries to do trade, right? To do external trade by doing import and export of goods and services. However, nowadays, if we see what is the pattern in the world today, so most of the countries that have initially fostered the pace of globalization, these countries have taken a back seat. They are retreating from globalization. So as of now, what is happening? There is a retreat from globalization. Retreat from globalization, and various countries are showing the retreat from globalization. Which countries are showing retreat from globalization? I'll take the example of India. Number one, if we talk about India, the government of India has launched a plan which is known as Atmanirbhar Bharat plan. Okay, it is Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme or plan. This is known as self-reliant India. Self-reliant India. So what is this Atmanirbhar Bharat plan all about? Basically, Atmanirbhar Bharat plan focuses on being self-reliant, means whatever goods are needed by India, by the Indian economy, we will produce those goods internally, right, as far as practicable. We will, let's say, focus on purchasing the goods from the Indian made industries, from the small companies, micro, medium enterprises. Even the government of India has made a plan that in the procurements that government is doing, various, institutions of the government is doing any kind of procurement, they will give preference, right, to procuring these things from Indian companies, right, the companies that are based in India. So that is Atmanirbhar Bharat. So India is now looking inward. Means India is looking within the boundary of India, that we want to become self-reliant. We want to produce the goods that are needed by Indian citizens. And this is not only with India. There are many other countries across the world. For example, in this article itself, they have talked about, the Inflation Reduction Act in the US. Okay, they have talked about some examples. Okay, Inflation Reduction Act in the United States of America, right? And they have given example of the European Green Deal. Okay, the European Green Deal. So we are going to discuss about what is this European Green Deal all about. European Green Deal, right? So this is the thing. So basically, many countries across the world are looking inward. For example, now if we talk about the policies that are being followed by United States of America, so they have, started following the trade protectionism policy. Means they are protecting their own, country borders from, any kind of freedom of trade. I mean, they want to benefit their country first. So it is kind of protectionism is, coming up nowadays from different countries. The European Green Deal also talks about that the European Union has now decided that they are going to go climate friendly. And how climate friendly? They want to be net zero carbon emitter by the year of 2050. And not only this, they are going to make it sure that all the industries that are working in the European Union, they are green rated. I mean, they produce lesser carbon dioxide, they produce lesser greenhouse gases. And not only this, the European Union has also imposed carbon border adjustment mechanism. Okay, so European Union has also imposed carbon border adjustment mechanism. In short, it is known as CBAM. So what is this? Basically those countries that are producing goods by emitting huge amount of greenhouse gases, if they want to export their goods in the European Union, so European Union is going to apply what? Tax to them, so that this is offset, because since they are imposing European Green Deal, so in that case, let's say many industries will move out of the European Union. But even if they move out of the European Union, if they produce their goods in some other countries where they have, let's say, lesser trade restrictions related to environmental pollution, in that case, what will happen? If they want to export their goods in the European Union, they will be, let's say, taxed. Tariff will be imposed on them, right? This is the thing. So apart from this, in this article, the author has talked about that although India has rebounded or recovered from COVID-19 quickly, but the thing is we are going. So here let us understand about one thing. Still we are going through a phase. And what is that phase? India has gone for rapid de-industrialization. Okay, rapid de-industrialization. India has gone for rapid deindustrialization. This is the thing. And this rapid deindustrialization has affected the Indian economy, has affected the growth of Indian economy. Now let us understand about some more features related to Indian economy. Okay, let us understand some more features related to Indian economy. So what the author is saying in this article is that, number one, that from 2003 to 2008, what has happened? The Indian economy has seen a kind of rapid, let's say dream run. Indian economy has seen, this period is categorized as dream run. What do we mean by dream run? During this time, Indian economy has grown at a very fast pace. But in 2018, there was a global financial crisis that was led by Lehman Brothers. So there was a, let's say bank, Lehman Brothers, and that has that has failed, and this is known as subprime crisis. And the subprime crisis has originated in the United States of America, and after that it has affected many other countries in the world. So there was a spiraling effect of the failure of one of the bank in the one of the bank in the United States of America. And so this has affected global economy. Indian economy was also not spared. So this is known as 2008 financial crisis that has happened. Okay, so from 2003 and till 2008, we have seen a rapid run. But here the author is saying that in India, right, in India, what we need to do? We need to actually bring some changes in the Indian economy. Why we need to bring some changes? Because what has happened, when we talk about economic progress of the country, so we will understand about three things. Initially, the Indian economy was primarily agrarian. Okay, primarily Indian economy was agrarian economy, right? Agrarian economy means we initially dependent on agriculture so much, and agriculture today employs more than 55% of the Indian workforce, and agriculture contributes about 18% to the GDP of the country. So this is the thing. But the thing is, we have gone for a phase of industrialization as well. Okay, we have gone through the phase of industrialization. But this industrialization, initially we focused on, let's say, heavy industries. The government of India has focused on giving thrust to the heavy industries. But what has happened later on, the government of India has thought of, let's say, giving boost to the MSME sector, micro, small and medium enterprises. Why MSME sector? Because MSMEs are huge in number, and government of India has created a ministry also, Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, and this ministry actually promotes the micro, small and medium enterprises, and these enterprises are promoted so that these enterprises can be let's say, engine for job creation in the country. But what has happened? The manufacturing of goods has gone down. It has, let's say, like, it has not kept the pace with the changing times. But if we talk about, let's say, if we talk about the service sector, right here, if we talk about service sector in the economy, service sector, although the service sector employs less number of people, but it contributes huge, let's say, hugely to the Indian GDP. So it contributes, let's say, like about 55%. Okay, so this is just a rough figure, this is not the exact figure. Okay, let's consider 55% of GDP is contributed by this. But how many people are employed? Around, let's say, 10 to 15% of people are employed in the service sector. So service sector contributes hugely to the GDP of the country, but they employ very less number of people. And the thing is, like, service sector requires highly skilled people. But in India, let's say, initially the government of India has focused on, let's say, like, the promoting higher education in the country. They have established the IITs, IIMs, and let's say, like, top level institutions that provide higher education in the country. But the thing is, what has happened, where we missed out on focusing the school education. And in schools, huge number of students, huge number of enrollments happen. So school education was not given proper thrust. And since school education was not given proper thrust, what has happened? I mean, like, there was a mismatch in the demand and the supply from the let's say, education sector to the industry, right? So industries needed high skilled people, and only few people could afford to go to the higher educational institutions. Soon after they pass out, they go to join the service sector directly. So the thing is, people who got educated, who were earlier in the agrarian sector, they quickly moved to the service sector. But the thing is, industrialization has not kept the pace with. So in this article, the author is saying that government of India needs to focus on improving the, let's say, like, improving or going for deep industrialization in the country. And here they have talked about a book that is written by Raghuram Rajan. So I'm going to write down the name of the book. Okay, so this book is related to Indian economy. Okay, so I'm going to write down name of this book. So what is the name of this book? It is written in this article itself. Breaking the Mold, Reimagining India's Economic Future. Breaking the Mold, Reimagining India's Economic Future. This is the name of the book. This book has been written by two persons, Raghuram Rajan and Rohit Lamba. Okay, this is written by So these people have written this particular book, Breaking the Mold, Reimagining India's Economic Future. So in this article also they talk about, they say that, like, they say they bet on their money not on manufacturing led growth but on high skill service driven growth. They also focus that, like, in India the service sector can grow faster, but the thing is, somewhere the industrialization or manufacturing, right, somewhere manufacturing is getting what? Behind. Okay, manufacturing is getting behind. So we need to focus on manufacturing. In this article, basically they have talked about, let's say, 3 problems in Indian economy. Okay, so author talked about 3 problems that we face in Indian economy. 3 problems. So what are those 3 problems that we face? Number 1, in this article, the author has talked about that employment elasticity of service-led growth is poor. Okay, so number 1, employment elasticity of service-led growth is poor. What do we mean by employment elasticity? Basically, employment elasticity means that people who are employed in the service sector, if they want to switch their job, right, if they want to, let's say like if that sector is not performing, so that elasticity is very less. I mean, like switching becomes very hard for people. And not only this, like it is very difficult for people to get into the service sector, to get a job in the service sector. So it is, let's say, India's experience with service driven growth since 1980s had two negative implications. First, it says it could not absorb the labor exiting the agriculture sector in the same way that manufacturing could. Second, the service sector required a large, highly skilled workforce. So they say that those people who are coming from the agriculture sector, those people were not absorbed by the service sector, right? Second thing is, the service sector needed very highly skilled people, right? These are the problems that the service sector faces. In this, like related to this, they have also talked about a coefficient which is known as Gini coefficient or Gini coefficient, right? Gini coefficient talks about inequality, right? It talks about inequality. So it says that the inequality in the service sector is 44 as compared to 35 for the let's say like manufacturing sector. So Gini coefficient for this service sector is 44, like for service sector, means inequality in the service sector is more, and for the manufacturing sector it is 35. Okay, it is 35. So this is the thing. So here we need to understand that in this article the author is saying that employment elasticity in the service sector is very low, means the ability of the service sector to absorb people from the agriculture sector is very less. Apart from this, they talk about another problem, that early investment in higher education contributed to near abandonment of mass school education. Okay, so it is, they are talking about higher education. So in higher education, what the government has done, they have done early investment, right? We have focused on investing in the higher education early, but like it has led to abandonment of school education, right? So we have not focused much on school education, right? This has created this gap. Then third, in this article they have talked about that the returns to education differ across classes and social groups. Okay, means like if people are getting educated, so people who are getting educated from different social groups, they get returns differently, and it also depends from the which classes people come, right? So in this article basically they have talked about returns from education, right? Returns from education, I mean like if people are coming from different classes of the society and they are getting educated differently, so they will be reaping the benefit at a different rate. So in this article they say like there is no coherent pattern related to this. So finally in this article author says that if economic development and not growth were India's priority, manufacturing that takes along the service sector may be the solution to the country's problem. Okay, at this point of time in India, what problem are we facing? We are facing the problem of, let's say, joblessness. We are facing the problem of unemployability of the youths. Okay, so these are the problems that Indian economy is facing at this point of time. With this, let us quickly move to another article. It says old-fashioned trust and credibility bind India-UAE ties. So this particular topic is important under GS paper 2 under international relations. So we are talking about the bilateral relations between India and the United Arab Emirates, right? So when we talk about bilateral ties, so bilateral ties are very deep between India and United Arab Emirates. Why? Because recently the Prime Minister of India has visited the United Arab Emirates, and like their prince also, like the Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, he's the president of United Arab Emirates. So they both, the Prime Minister of India and the President of United Arab Emirates, they share a very strong, let's say like, bond, very strong kind of, let's say like ties between them. So what has happened? Now diplomacy has become deeply personal. Earlier diplomacy was considered to be transactional. Transactional means when one country has very good ties with other countries, so they used to, let's say, foster economic ties, they used to foster bilateral relations very deeply. But as of now, let's say personal bonhomie is playing that role. So in this article, the author has talked about that it is bound where trust and credibility outweigh diplomatic reciprocity and protocol. So now what is happening? Trust is playing the key role. So what has happened? Recently, let's say like India has let's say like announced one corridor which is known as India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor, right? India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor. So in that particular corridor, what has happened? United Arab Emirates is also a part of it. So this has been announced in the G20 summit by India. And after then what has happened? We have also, let's say like launched India UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. India UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement has been signed between these two countries, and this COP28 that has happened. COP means Conference of Parties. Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, right? UNFCCC. So in this Conference of Parties, few documents have been released. One is known as the let's say like Dubai Declaration, or let's say like so I think Dubai Declaration was one of the document. Then they have also signed loss and damage fund. I mean like loss and damage fund has been operationalized right over here, and people have decided to transition away from fossil fuel based things. So there also India has let's say played key role right in the Conference of Parties 28 that has happened in Dubai. And apart from this, what has happened, like India and United Arab Emirates, the Reserve Bank of India and the Central Bank of the United Arab Emirates have decided to go for bilateral exchange of currencies in their trade. Why? So that they can, let's say like they can what so that they do not need to depend on US dollar or Russian currency, right? So this is the thing. So the ties between these two countries are getting stronger, and now the Prime Minister of India is going to visit Dubai. Why? Because there is an organization in India, this is known as BAPS, okay, BAPS. So what BAPS is doing basically, so there is an organization, so they are launching or they are inaugurating a mandir, a temple, right? This is Akshardham temple in Dubai, and this is the second temple. Previously the Prime Minister of India has visited Dubai, and he has requested the President of United Arab Emirates for allocation of some land for building temple, and the President of United Arab Emirates has allocated the land for building the temple, and that temple has been constructed, and now it is going to be inaugurated, and the Prime Minister of India has been invited. So the thing is like this also talks about the let's say kind of ties that these two countries have. And now what has happened in India, we do have a gift city, right? Gujarat International Financial let's say like financial tech city Gujarat. So over here what we are doing, like we are setting up international financial, let's say like transaction related thing. So here the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority will open its office in the gift city in Gujarat. Apart from this, the government of India has decided to go for developing Bharat Mart in Dubai, okay? So this is Dubai based DP World. So Bharat Mart, what is going to be? Basically they are going to create showrooms, right? Like they are going to create malls. There will be 800 showrooms and all. So this is going to, let's say like create people to people ties between these two countries. And like we do have a strong diaspora, like a strong Indian community who are residing in United Arab Emirates, especially in Dubai. So we have around 3.5 million Indian people, 3.5 million Indian people who are residing in United Arab Emirates. Means 35 lakh Indian people are residing there, Okay, this is the thing. So it is now in this article they say now that these two countries have come together so strongly, and the Prime Minister of India has said that, like, the kind of cooperation, kind of relations that India and UAE has, right, between them sets an example for the global community, for the countries around the world, related to how the ties must be there between two countries. So it says a convergence of strategic interest and regular interactions have resulted in one of India's most dynamic and consequential bilateral relations between these two countries. Okay, now with this, now let us so this is, let's say, like related to European Green Deal, the first article. So these are the things that they have planned as part of European Green Deal. So they are going to invest in a smarter, more sustainable transport. They are going to, let's say, like, strive for energy industry, for greener industry. They are going to eliminate the pollution. They are going to ensure just transition for all, and they are going to finance the green projects. Okay, so some of the key important parts of the European Green Deal is mentioned over here, right? You can go through it. So now let us move to another article. This article is also short. We'll be discussing. It says the wrong cooks is spoiling the scientific broth. So this article is kind of, let's say, a commentary on the scientific community, right? So I'm going to write some of the things related to these two things. So this is going to be topic number 3, although let's say I have covered one more topic I have not written over here. This is topic number 3 for the day. So what is the name of the topic? It says the wrong cooks. The wrong cooks is spoiling the scientific broth. So this article is a kind of, let's say, commentary on the scientific community, right? On the scientific community in India. So basically we are going to discuss about some features of the comment that the author has made. Number 1, the author has said that the scientific community in India has not, let's say, like, has not connected with other disciplines so far. I mean, like, they have not well connected themselves with other disciplines. So a kind of, let's say, like, they are working in silos. Okay, they are working in silos. Silos means they're working separately. But the thing is, what is the need of the hour? The need of the hour is that the scientist and scientific community must focus on doing interdisciplinary research. So what is needed, right? What is needed is interdisciplinary research. Okay, interdisciplinary research is needed in India. And for interdisciplinary research, we have come up with National Education Policy. What? We have come up with National Education Policy 2020. And this National Education Policy specifically guides that all the scientific institutions, right, should focus on doing interdisciplinary research as well. Okay, and, like, they should work hand in hand with other disciplines, so that, like, there is collaborative development. Why? Because in this article they have talked about that, let's say, 1 + 1, right, does not become 2. Basically the collective effort is more than 2, is greater than 2. Collective effort, when, let's say, different specializations are working together, so the output is more than the combined, let's say, like, addition of the things. So this is what is being said. So here in this article, author says that scientific community, basically, like, the people who are involved in doing research, what they are doing, they are only applying the principles that are prevalent, the principles that are wide accepted in their own field, right? And using that, they are let's say using some calculations, they are coming up with some results, and that is what they are presenting. But if we talk about, let's say, doing research in newer field, doing research in those fields that were not earlier experimented with, so this is not being done much in our country. So author says that scientists now focus on, let's say, getting themselves connected with other disciplines also, right? There should be interdisciplinary research, and this will promote healthy culture of R&D in the country, right? So in this article, author has talked about that, even the scientific community, let's say, there are professors, so they are not able to speak freely. Why? Because they are somehow fearful. Let's say, it seems that there is just one person having Sangol in his or her hand who is directing that, you should do this, you should not do this. And this is what our scientists are doing. And this is not healthy for our culture. What our culture needs, what our society needs, that the scientists, the mind, the people who are doing research and development, so they will be able, they should be free to speak their minds. They should be free to, let's say, bring in some innovation in their field. They should be free to, let's say, bring together people from different, let's say, different, what we say, fields. So in this article, the author says that the time has come for many of India's scientific forces to scout for solutions to the country's real life problem. Okay, if we want to solve the country's real life problem, what we need to do? We need to foster a culture of interdisciplinary research, and scientists must be, let's say, sensitized towards that. Now we have another article. In this article, basically it says homeward bound, right? So we are going to understand this article. This is article number 4, topic 4. Homeward bound. So here we are talking about, let's say, this topic is important under IR GS paper 2. Okay, it is important under IR International Relations GS paper 2. Now here we are talking about a country, its name is Qatar, right? In Qatar, what has happened? There were 8 prisoners, right? 8, let's say, former Indian Navy officials, right? Former Indian Navy officials. And what has happened to these officials? These Navy officials were earlier sentenced to life sentence. I mean, they were given death sentence by one of the lower court in Qatar. And why they were given death sentence? It is because of, let's say, from the news report, it was known that these 8 people were working for a company which is known as Dahara Global, right? They were working for a company. This is a Qatari company. It is known as Dahara Global. And this particular company was working in the submarine related thing. And there were allegations against these 8 former Indian Navy officials that they were, let's say, doing spying. So what they were doing, they were involved in doing spying on, let's say, Qatar, and they were sharing the intelligence with a third country. Which third country? Name of that third country is Israel, right? So that's why these people have been sentenced to life death sentence, right? But the thing is, what has happened? I mean, these were allegations. There have been, let's say, a kind of different stages of hearing was happening in their courts, and government of India has tried its best to get diplomatic access to these people, and the Prime Minister of India has also met with the Qatari, let's say, ruler of Qatar. And recently, soon after the visit of Prime Minister of India to to UAE, from here he has visited Qatar also. So in this article, they have boasted one important parameter, which is quiet diplomacy. What? They have boasted QUIET, quiet diplomacy. So in this article, they have talked about the role that the quiet diplomacy has played. So what has happened? India and Qatar have worked closely together. Indian officials have met with Qatari officials. The Prime Minister of India has met with the King of Qatar. So basically, let's say it was a kind of quiet diplomacy. They did not create hue and cry the way it has happened in Kulbhushan Jadhav case. So in Kulbhushan Jadhav was, let's say, a former, I think, Navy official. So he was charged to death sentence, I think, by Pakistani court, and government of India has to go to International Court of Justice, right, to seek diplomatic access to it. So that has created international news sensation. And if we talk about the recently killing of one person in Canadian soil, I think Hardeep Singh Nijjar. So there was a person, let's say he was a pro-Khalistani person, so he was killed in Canada, and so that has led to a kind of tussle between the Prime Minister of Canada and let's say like Indian officials on social media and all. So that has also created, let's say, like, a kind of unrest to both these countries, and that has not been very much fruitful. But here in this case, the quiet diplomacy has played very important role, and these 8 people, right, these 8 people are now back to India. Okay, so quiet diplomacy has brought the 8 people back to India. Okay, so this is the thing. So these people are now in India. Okay, so they are, I think 7 of them have been brought back to India and 8th may be on the way. It is like that. So in this article they have talked about that quiet diplomacy. When we work, actually, let's say, like, when we work quietly, so we achieve the goals also, we achieve the results as well. Now we have another article. It says salutary reminder. This is a topic from Indian economy section. It says inflation should not undermine overall macroeconomic stability. So as we know, what is inflation? Inflation is when the general prices of goods and services rise over a time period. Okay, so when the price of goods and services rise over a time period. So there has been multiple instances in Indian economy in last year where we have seen, let's say, food inflation, where we have seen headline inflation. So consumable things, the price of consumable things went so high that people are facing difficulty in buying the things. On the other hand, what happens if any luxury car comes in the Indian market? So they are sold upfront. I mean, like, the luxury cars are sold without wait. But at the same time, there are huge number of Indian population who are facing difficulty in getting access to, let's say, like, good quality food, timely food. So this thing, let's say, like, recently the consumer price index has been published by National Statistical Office, and National Statistical Office works under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Here they have talked about another agency which is known as Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. So what they have done, they have actually subclassified, or they have created subgroup of 12 of the items, vegetable items, that were out of 19 items. And these 12 items has seen some kind of, let's say, trend in inflation, means like these items have seen inflation. So in this article, basically they have made some commentary related to which kind of food grain has gone for what level of inflation and all. So this is the thing, you can read this article in your free time. So with this, now let us move to another topic. This is again a good topic. It says on the right of forest dwellers. Okay, so let us understand some of the things in this article. This is topic number, what was the previous topic number? Topic number 5. Let me write down. This is a very good topic. This talks about rights of the forest dwellers. On the rights of forest dwellers. Now, in the starting of today's discussion, we discussed about a tiger reserve, Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve. Where is the tiger reserve located? The tiger reserve is located in, right? The tiger is located in Tamil Nadu. Okay. So here we are going to talk about, let's say, rights of the forest dwellers. Rights of the forest dwellers. So the forest dwellers or people who reside in the forest, they do have a right that is given to them through an act, right, of the parliament. This is known as Forest Rights Act. Okay, this is known as Forest Rights Act, right? I think this was passed in the year of 2006. So the Forest Rights Act actually, let's say, in short, they are known as FRA. So these Forest Rights Act, this full name is the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act. Okay, that is the full name. In short, it is known as Forest Rights Act. So the Forest Rights Act gives rights to the forest dwellers, and the thing is, like, some of the rights of the forest dwellers are curtailed also through the Forest Rights Act, right? But the thing is, recently the government of India has decided, right, some of the places, for example, the Thanthai Periyar Sanctuary is constituted from north to south. Then, there they have mentioned that the Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve of Tamil Nadu, Malay Wildlife Sanctuary, and the Kaveri Wildlife Sanctuary of Karnataka, 6 tribal forests. So these places are being categorized, right, as, let's say, tiger reserves, right? They are being protected, and when, let's say, regions are being protected like this, what happens? The forest dwellers actually are apprehensive whether their rights will be further curtailed, right? Whether their rights will be further curtailed by the government. So here we need to understand one factor. So the thing is, when we have a, let's say, a forest that is notified by the government as reserve forest, there generally, let's say, forest dwellers can reside, they can do their activity, regular activity, they can build their homes also. But when it is categorized as tiger reserve or a national park, so most of these rights are taken away from the forest dwellers. So that's why the forest dwellers are feeling that their rights may be taken away by the government. Okay, so here I'm not writing much. Okay. So here some forest reserves are mentioned in this article. I'm going to read it from here itself. So this is Thanthai Periyar Sanctuary. Okay, one of the sanctuaries, Thanthai Periyar Sanctuary. And then they have mentioned about Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve. They mentioned about Malay Mahadeshwara Wildlife Sanctuary and Kaveri Wildlife Sanctuary of Karnataka. Okay, so these things are mentioned. So the thing is, the government of India has categorized some of the places as forest villages. What are forest villages? Basically, let's say earlier the villages were considered to be forest villages, but they were converted under revenue villages. Revenue villages means now here people will be able to do their regular activities and government will be collecting revenue from them. Okay, so this has been done by the government of India in 1990s itself, right? And in this article, basically they have mentioned few of the things. They have mentioned Thanthai Periyar Sanctuary, and they have mentioned about, let's say, a census was conducted by the government in 2011, and according to that census, there were 1,808 revenue villages in Tamil Nadu with numerous habitations in them crossing like that. Okay, so here basically we are talking about, let's say, rights of the forest dwellers versus, let's say, the protection of the forest by the government. So when government goes for further protection of forest, further, let's say, classifying it as national park or tiger reserve, in that case, although those things are protected, however, this is done at the cost of the rights of the forest dwellers, like that. Okay, so these are the things. Basically you can read this topic in your free time to learn little more on this. Then we have another article. This article, let's say, it says too many IITs lead to unrealistic expectation and quality problems. Okay, so IITs are known as Indian Institute of Technologies, and in India we do have huge number of IITs. Presently we have 23 IITs, but long back, initially from 1950 to 1960, we only had 4 IITs, 4 Indian Institute of Technologies, and those IITs have been set up, right, with collaboration with foreign with foreign collaborators. For example, IIT Bombay has been established with the help of Soviet Union. IIT Madras have been established with the help of Germany. Okay. Then IIT Kanpur with the help of United States, and IIT Delhi with the United Kingdom. Currently there are 23 IITs. Okay. So after initial few IITs, it took around 34 years to establish the 6th IIT, the next IIT. And 6th IIT was IIT Guwahati in 1994. But the thing is, recently we have seen more number of IITs. But what is the problem in IITs? Basically, if we talk about big IITs like IIT Delhi, IIT Madras and all, each IITs have more than 10,000 students. Right? They have around, more than 10,000 students. But they have faculties or professors around 1,000 professors in them. But if you talk about the new IITs that have been set by the government, they have very less number of professors, they have less resources with them, and they are not able to meet with the standard that the old IITs have set for themselves. Right? Why? Because old IITs have been set up long back, they have been sanctioned huge resources, but new IITs are not able to match up with them. And new IITs have not been created greenfield. What the government of India has done, they have converted some previously set up institutions into IITs, right? They have converted few of the institutions, like some NITs have been converted into IITs, right? So although their constitution structure have been changed, but resources are not much available with them. Even recently what has happened, the IIT Delhi has set up a campus in Dubai. So this is offshore campus of IIT Delhi, and they have started a master's program over there related to energy technology or energy sciences. So in this article, author says that although Indian Institutes of Technology are the most premier institutes that India has, but the thing is, if we keep on increasing the number of IITs, the new IITs will not be able to match with the standards that are set by the previous IITs. So it is important that proper resource allocation should happen to the new IITs also, and their standard must be upgraded so that the number of vacant positions, number of faculties can be increased, right, in those IITs. Basically this is the thing. So here in this article they have mentioned about Bombay Monash Research Academy, the University of Queensland, IIT Delhi, Academy of Research are promising examples. So there have been multiple collaborations between different IITs, right, and other countries. So these collaborations are very, very helpful. Then we have another article. This article says Iran fires first ship-based long-range ballistic missile. Although this is a topic from international relations, like we are talking about Iran, but we are going to look into this topic from science and technology point of view. Why? Because we are discussing about ballistic missiles. Ballistic missiles are, defense missiles. So ballistic missiles are those missiles. Let me write down here, right? This topic is I'm not going to write everything, just I'm writing ballistic missiles. So what are ballistic missiles? Ballistic missiles are those missile systems that are launched from point A, let's say point A. It follows a particular trajectory or it follows a particular path, right? It follows a particular path to reach a point, let's say point B. So to reach a point which is known as point B over here. So the path that it follows, this path is known as trajectory. Okay, this path is known as trajectory. And this trajectory is, this is parabolic path. Okay, this path is known as parabolic path. So they follow path of a parabola like that. Okay. So to launch a satellite, we need to provide some initial thrust or initial force is provided. And this initial force is provided in such a manner so that it reaches up to a point. And this point, let's say P, This point P is known as the highest point. Okay, this is highest point. So the thing is, the energy that is needed to send this particular parabola from this point to this point, that is only needed. So after its launch, ballistic missile, once it is launched, so after launching we cannot maneuver its path, we cannot change its course. So at the initial stage itself, we set the direction, we set the, let's say, speed, we give the initial thrust. After we launch, it will fall to a place that we have determined previously. Okay, so this particular distance from the point of origin to this particular point, it is known as range. It is known as range. Okay, this distance is known as range from here to here. So ballistic missiles are launched, right, to reach a particular range, right, and they can have any type of warhead with them. Okay, they can have nuclear warhead as well. So here in this article, basically we are discussing about Iran. So Iran has fired first ship-based long-range ballistic missile. Okay, they have a very long range, right? So it says Iran Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said on Thursday it has launched long-range ballistic missiles from a warship for the first time. The launch from Shahid Mahadavi during naval maneuver involved firing 2 ballistic missiles capable of striking targets 1700 km away. So here in this article they have mentioned the range also. What is the range? 1700 km range. Okay, so this is 1700 km range in all. So that's all from my side for the day. Thank you so much everyone for attending today's session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.